So we can call to order this Wednesday, September 4th, 2019 Public Works Committee meeting. We can start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Holmes, could you open up a prayer for us?
Heavenly Father, we just like to thank you for those who are coming out and those who are coming. We ask that you keep us in good faith, keep this village in good faith in your hands. Let us have a peaceful meeting, help us make progress, and get things done. Amen.
Amen. So we're going to start on the agenda. We have no old business to go over, so we're going to start right into new business. And new business, letter A, is new software for updating vehicles and equipment. And the Public Works Superintendent has two mechanics here to go over this new equipment. They will explain the new equipment, the benefits of new equipment, and the things that will help track the progress and track the work that's needed on the Village of Dolton Public Works equipment, so we can monitor the money and how much we're spending on it. So you're going to start with them, Matt?
Yeah, we're going to start with that.
So you can come to this mic right here. If you can't introduce yourself to the public, who you are, your name, and your title.
Hi, everybody. Name is Sean McDonald.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alberto Zacharias.
And what we're doing now is we found software that helps us keep track of the vehicle maintenance and all the repairs that's being made, as well as the price of parts and, the labor is included because we work for the village. But the main goal of this software is to actually keep track of maintenance, and preventative maintenance is what's a big deal, and that's going to eventually save money, lots of money down the line coming up.
Do you have your tablet with you up there? All right, I'm going to show the trustees real quick how we're keeping track of it and what it shows. I'm going to go to Police Unit 1505. And as you guys can see here, what we do is when the car comes in for maintenance, with this new program, the mechanics have been taking a picture of the car, they mark it with their unit number, then they put all the information in, the police squad car, the year, VIN number, mileage, everything. Now, as of right now, since we started, last month?
Yep.
It's been in effect about a month. We've put $1,300 into this car, into this unit, and they keep track throughout the whole year. So this time next year, we could pull this car up for you, for the board, show them that's what we put into it. Is it worth keeping? Should we get rid of it, pass it down, whatever? So this is everything we're doing, and let me see.
Question: Is it this is just from now, from when you got it moving forward? Is there a way to get the past stuff in the last few years and maintenance on it?
Well, this right now is moving forward. There's no, unless we track down all the receipts from what we did before.
We have them in books in the front office that we kept track of throughout the previous years, but going back, it'll take them a while to go in, put the receipt, put in the vehicle number and all that.
Would it be unrealistic if we had, can you hear me, Wally, on it? Is it unrealistic if we had maybe a Dolton resident to come volunteer your time to put it in? Is that asking too much?
It would depend on the program here. Because if you put something, he just wants to know if we can get like a volunteer, like a resident or something to come in and like pull the books from in the office and input that stuff into here.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I mean, I would actually have to kind of show them how to input information, because there's a certain way that we keep track of like the parts that goes to each vehicle. I put it in as far as everything, as far as part numbers that match up to certain vehicles and prices that is updated to today for certain parts. So it would be like a training type of thing I would have to do. But the good thing about this program is so far we can track down as far as PD. We can separate it from PD to the public works to the fire department. We can keep track of all the spending for each and every last vehicle from here on out.
Trustee Ed, are you just doing that for a comparison of last year's spending versus this year? Is that the reason why you want that information?
That would be that would be it exactly. Okay. Just a comparison of what was spent over years, so we don't have to just start right now. Maybe we can go back a few years and see the improvements and stuff like that over the time.
Matt.
It's on this low.
Matt, could you do me a favor? The device that what you showed us on there, could you show the residents?
Oh, yeah.
That are sitting right here?
Not a problem.
Because I think they should have a look at it too.
All right, so next thing on the agenda is letter B, truck D8 and D11. And soon as Mac, transmission problems. Do you all know about the transmission problems on there?
Yeah.
So could you update us on truck D8 and D11? It's a little low. This mic is a little low. So we moved on to B, Matt, on transmission, truck transmission D8 and D11.
Okay, these are two trucks that are our frontline plow trucks. We had an issue with one, and then the transmission went out. It started acting up. We thought it was something minor, but when we brought it in, started doing maintenance and all that, the transmission went out. So we thought it might have been the shifter at first because of the codes that it was throwing out. We replaced the shifter on it, still nothing. The mechanics called the dealership, ran through everything with them because there's certain software that we don't have that belongs to International. So what it is the transmission went out. So not shortly, 3-4 days later, the sister truck to that did the exact same thing. Those were, it's not like they were hooked up to our chipper, so it's not like they were hauling a lot of weight, just branches and all that. And that one went out. We did the same thing, flopped the shifters and all that, and still nothing.
Would that be the truck number 6?
No, these are going to be D8 and D11.
Okay.
So the mechanics called the dealership. Right now we're looking at $6,500 to get a rebuilt transmission. Now that has to go in. Plus, we still have to send that truck to the dealer because again, their software, they need to do all the computer updates to it. So with both of them being down, we're looking at just for the transmission, $15,000. These are 1999s. And my issue is we still have one more 1999 in the yard. And that, again, is another frontline plow truck.
So these will be out of commission.
Yes.
Some will be out of commission, all of them.
Right, because as you can ask the mechanics, they have called for certain parts They don't make parts for them no more.
Gotcha.
And they told us our next best shot is to call a junkyard. Well, to me, if you're in a junkyard, there's not much I want off of you if you're in a junkyard.
Exactly.
So that's where we're at. Now, the second page I got is a company that we bought our last 3 from, and those were 4 years ago. And what it is this company is out of Bluffton, Indiana. It's Emo Trucks. What he does is he rebuilds the cabs, the engine, the transmission. If there's any problems, he'll do a rebuilt engine, a rebuilt trans. The dump body, the plow, the spreader, the hydraulics are all brand new with warranties. There's a company that does the IDOT trucks is where he sends them to. So the company, we've dealt with them on one issue that we had, a small one. They were great to work with. But my suggestion to the board is instead of trying to repair the 1999s at a cheaper cost for 2 2011s that he has on his lot, the price for that is $64,500. Now, I had spoke with Janice and the finance people downstairs. They said they would be able to pull up numbers and money issues and all that. That's, I showed them what the cost was. And they said they would be able to answer any questions for the trustees when the time comes. But my suggestion would be to purchase these 2 because at $64,500, I had a vendor come out last month. He had stopped in trying to sell a new truck to us, to see if we were in the market for one. Looking for a truck like this, brand new, price is around $220,000. That's just for one truck. And if we were to order that new truck right now, we wouldn't have it for 6 months because they're being built. They don't stock them on their lots. So this 2011 was the company we dealt with before with the finance issues. They were cheaper than buying a new one. That's why I'm bringing it back to the board. I spoke to them. They do financing. They have 24-month warranty. So I didn't get too much into the financing part because I don't know what to ask them and what they're, we're looking for or whatnot. But that's where we're at with these 2 trucks. So.
Is this the only is this the only vendor we've asked?
With the rebuild like that,
Right.
This has been the cheapest one I've found.
Okay.
Anything else, trustees? Andrew? Trustee Holmes? I think moving forward, I talked to the finance chair. He definitely wanted to look at the possible finance options as far as instead of paying outright $64,500 for them. So maybe we can look into that and take it to the board and see what they say.
Okay.
The next thing on the agenda is item C, truck 6, parts not available at dealer. Could you go ahead and expound?
Yeah, that one is a 1996 Super Duty 1-ton dump. It was brought in for an issue with the brakes, and was it Roberto?
Yeah.
Were you, Alberto, did you look at that one?
Yeah.
Can you just touch on what happened and what the dealer said and all that?
So we brought it in for a couple issues. They was having issues with the brake pedal, also the brakes. So we had taken them apart. We put new brake pads and rotors on them, and then unfortunately the calipers started to go out. Kind of the same issue with the D11 and D8. They were having the same thing as far as we can't find parts for it just due to the age of the vehicle. We called dealerships, I called all of our heavy duty suppliers for all of our truck parts. All of them told me the same thing, that there's no parts available for it, and then our best bet would probably be going to the junkyard. So it's just a lot of these vehicles we're having the same thing. Is just due to the age, it's very difficult to find parts, let alone brand new parts. So with that being said, it's a very it's a safety issue just due to the fact that the vehicle can't stop properly. And with that vehicle being on the road, it's definitely not recommended to be put in service until it gets fixed properly. But at this point, we can't find anything to fix it with.
So we should also be looking to purchase that same vehicle too.
Yes, it's definitely recommended to get that one replaced as well.
Any input from you, Matt?
No, that's basically it. It's just, it's the main reason is the safety issues with the guys, the brakes and all that. So.
The next letter item is letter D, possible purchase of 2 new reconditioned trucks.
That was the one that I tied in, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else from the 2 new mechanics?
No?
No, I mean, unless anybody has any questions for us.
Okay. You can stay around. The citizen's address will be here. And they'll ask questions if they have any.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Next, we want to have letter E, Water Department update. The Water Department has been a hot button issue in the village. So we have Ms. Sonia here, who's a supervisor over there, and she can talk about the updates that she's been doing over there, the cross-training up. You can step to the podium over here. The update to the training over there, what's going over there as far as estimated bills versus actual bills, correcting bills with mistakes, making sure water bills go out on time. So she'll introduce that to you. Introduce yourself as well.
Hello, my name is Sonia London. Okay. Hello, my name is Sonia London. Been helping out in the water department, basically being a liaison to the director over there. So some of the things, changes we made in the water department, we have a couple new employees, so we're working on improving customer service. Also eliminating the estimated bills. So you maybe get a lot of yellow cards in the mails and things like that. We ask that you turn those in immediate so we can eliminate the estimated bills that you are receiving. Some of the other improvements are the online bill payment. We also have it where if you want to set up automatic bill pay, you can come into the office. We can be assistance with that so that you can make payments online, and that's vodolton.org. There also is a 24-hour drop box. The drive-through is open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Some of the other things that's going on in the water department is making sure that bills going out on time. So we ask that the meters are read before the 15th of each month. Between the 1st and the 15th, the bills come out around the 25th. It's really important to know what district you're in, so you know when to turn in those cards and when your bill come out. The bills come out, whatever district you're in, at the end of the month by the 25th, usually around the 25th or between the 25th, 28th of that month. So I can be reached in the water department for any questions, any assistance you may have. So.
Could you update the residents of what you're doing as far as cross-training, make sure everybody
Sure.
over there knows how to do everything to eliminate the mistakes?
Sure. So one of the importance in the water department is ensuring that all of the clerks, supervisors are aware of the customer complaints and how to handle them. So we're making sure that all the clerks are cross-trained on reading the meters, assisting customers, residents with any issues, bill payments and things of that nature. So you may see the clerks moving around or new faces. So a lot of cross-training is going on to improve the customer service within the department.
Also, could you address the how important it is to eliminate the estimated bills versus actual bills? Because
Sure.
I remember you told me sometimes you send the water meters back out if they don't have enough readings.
Sure. So estimated bills is an issue because when you see the estimated bills usually reading 132.60, 134.60, that means you're under bill. You're only billed for 10 consumptions. So if we don't get a reading at least once a year is per ordinance. But we would like, because we're billed quarterly, 4 times a month, a year, we want to make sure we try to get a reading every bill period, because if we don't, you're getting an estimated bill where you're only billed for 10 units and you're under billed. And that's 3 months, you're only billed for $56.10 for water, which is about $18 per month. And a lot of times the residents doesn't understand that. And so what happened is, when we do finally get an actual bill for a year or two down the line, your bill comes and it's $1,500, $2,000, $4,000. Because I had a customer today, she had been under-billed since 2015. Never had an actual reading, and her usage was 22 to 32 units. So she were only billed at 10 units. So that's a 21 difference, consumptions, that was billed all at once. The good thing about that, we are identifying and we are allowing residents to set up payment arrangements, as long as you make a payment down on it, and then we'll set up something reasonable, especially for the residents that is on fixed incomes.
Also, one more thing, and if you got any questions, you can come to Citizens Address and ask. They'll all be here. The next question, I know one of the districts where the bills were going out consistently late. Could
Sure.
you address that?
Sure. That was District 2. So again, we don't send those bills out direct. We are using a third-party vendor. We are working with trying to interview or find another third-party vendor. So from my understanding, we are sending the bills out on time. Since May of 2019, the bills been going out on time. Unfortunately, they're not getting to your homes on time. So I just want to make that note that they're not coming directly from the village of Dolton. They are from a third-party vendor. So we are addressing that concern. We have not been charging late fees or penalties on those bills because we are aware of that issue.
You can wait to Citizens Address. So Citizens Address, you can come and ask the question. Just hold your question. We're almost, this is the last item. So anything else from the board before we go to Citizens Address? Okay. Thank you, Sonia. If you can,
You're welcome. Thank
have a
you.
seat, and you can come up and ask your question, please.
As far as the water is concerned, what I do is I take a picture on my phone of my meter, okay, my actual reading, because I had been getting estimate bills for the longest, and I come in and I tell them that is not my reading. So I know there's an issue if you do not have your exact reading, because down the line it's going to come back and kick you, okay? So I actually take a picture of my reading of my meter. So they finally got that straight. But what I didn't understand was I normally have about 5 or 6 units, because there's nobody in my house to run a lot of water. I don't water my grass, okay? So they still tell me my bill is like $134 regardless. So how is that?
Okay, so keep in mind that the bills are for 3 months. $56.10 is waters. That's for 3 months. Also, the $61.50 is for the garbage, and then it's like $17 for the sewer. That's for a 3-month period. So your water alone is only $56.10 for that 3 months.
Okay.
So the $132 is the sewer and the garbage. The garbage is a flat rate of the $61.50. Okay, so
Okay.
you're only $56.10 for 3 months in water, which is low.
Okay.
So it
That's
makes
why I
sense.
didn't understand where it always just was
Yeah.
that same amount. Then the other question is, why are we using a third-party vendor? Why isn't the village sending the bills out themselves? I don't understand that. Why are we using somebody else and spending money paying them to do that?
So I don't know. That's a good question, but I think for accuracy and the speed of service may be one of the reasons why, but I can't answer that at this time.
The mayor?
One of the reasons we use third-party vendors is because we would have to put in place printing process.
Printing process?
A printing process.
Okay.
We can't photocopy all of those. How many residents we have? We're sending water bills out plus industrial. So we would have to put in a printing process, which we would have to hire somebody to do. So we send it out to a printer, and you upload it by stick on the.
So it's a digital file that goes.
It's a digital file that goes out. They print it out, they fold it, they stuff it, They put the postage on it and it's sent out, and then they
Okay.
bill us. Now, as Sonia said, we've having some problems. We're in the process right now looking for another third-party vendor. And that's the way most of the communities do it. They send it out by a third-party vendor that actually does the printing and stuff. It's like a mail house.
Okay, just didn't understand that. Thanks for
I got a
explaining
question I want
that.
to ask Sonia.
Okay.
You mentioned the fact of having the residents know what district they're in. Is there on the water bill, is it identified what district they're in?
It is. So on your water bills, if your account number begins with a 1, you're in District 1. If your account number begins with a 2, you're in District 2. And if it begins with a 3, you're in District 3. So if you don't know what month your bill come out, if you call the office and just tell them what district you in, we'll be able to tell you when your bill come out, what month, and around what time. And just keep in mind that those yellow cards or your readings, if you do them yourself, they need to be in before the 15th. I want to make a point. She says she take a picture of her meter. I'm still receiving cards that's with the reading, but there's no address, phone number, or name, so I can't do anything with that reading. And then I'm also still receiving yellow cards in the mail. I'm getting a lot more, is improving, but they're coming in after the 15th. They're being mailed on the 15th. I need them before the 15th. So those are some of the issues that I'm seeing. I'm starting to get a increased amount of readings, but I'm missing accounts or addresses, or they're coming through the mail, and sometimes the mail takes 3 or 4 days before we receive it. So if I get it by the 19th, it's too late. Okay, thank you.
Also, there's been a lot of meters that have been being read incorrectly. At the next board meeting and on channel 499, we will go through the process of how to actually read the meter. And hopefully that'll take care of some of the errors that appeared on the yellow cards. But there is a big problem with, sure, the card is left in the door, you get the card, you take the reading, and you stick it in the box, and it's, like she said, no address, no name or anything on it. So some people think that we can identify just by that reading where it came from, and that's not the case. The other thing is, you mentioned the fact, well, I live by myself, I don't water my grass, I don't wash my car, and I just use the minimum. If you look at all your utility bills, whether you use your gas or use your electric, there's a minimum bill. It's called a delivery charge, and they even add taxes on it, and 911, you know, so, yeah, whatever it is. So you can have your gas turned off, but they charge you just to be able to get gas or just to be able to have electric. So when you look at, you know, people say, oh, my water bill was $130, but it's broke down, like she said, the trash, the sewer, and the water. So if you multiply that over the quarter, that's basically what you use on a monthly basis. Yeah, and we plan on explaining that at the next board meeting and putting it on 499. What we're looking to do, and we're probably past where we should have been on this, is to go to monthly water billing. And Matt, I think we've put in for the grant, the EPA grant, it's going to cost what, $4 million? $4 million. No, is it $4 million? Yeah, $4 million. Our portion is $2 million. The grant is $2 million. We're looking to try to get some of that offset. But what that would actually do is it would give us more accuracy. All the meters in the town will be changed. And is it done by drive-by or satellite?
Drive-by.
Yeah, drive-by with satellite readings. Your bills will come out monthly. It'll be more manageable for you. You know, because in some of the cases, if you can't pay a $300 bill and you already, it's past 6 months, you know, you're in that quarter, the next $300 bill, if you can't pay the $300, you can't pay $600. So it'll be more manageable for everybody, especially if you're on, you know, set income every month, that your water bill, you say use 100, what's the minimum, what's the garbage?
The garbage total 134.
134. So divide that, yeah, divide that 134 by 3. That's what your monthly water bill will be. Plus, what it will allow us to do, it will allow us to collect our receivables faster. So if you're delinquent 1 month, what is 134 divided? No, the whole bill, 130. I can't think, divided right now. 45 a month. So what that allows us to do is to collect our receivables faster. And so we rather have you delinquent on $90 than have you delinquent on $600, So, and to have us go every quarter to collect our money, have an outstanding collection of $2 million, could be cut down to, I don't know, 1 million or $500,000 or whatever the case may be. It allows us to collect our money, pay our bills quicker, and it'll be more manageable. So hopefully we can get that done by next spring, Elizabeth? Okay. So that's in the process. And there are some communities that are on monthly. So our industrials, our business accounts are on monthly, which of course makes it more manageable for them, especially our big accounts and big businesses. So we want to do the same thing for our residents.
Good evening, everyone. I was just curious on the trucks that Matt was talking about. Are those trucks salvageable to bring in some kind of money if they can't, they're not worth absolutely fixing? Are they salvageable to add to?
Yeah, we could do those like the trustees just did with the old police units and all that.
Oh, okay. And I was wondering on the third party, is that kind of contributing to the bills getting to the residents late? Having a third party?
We were only identifying that District 2 has been an issue, but yes, that has been an issue. They have been going out from the village on time, so we've been in contact with the third party. I'm finding out that you are getting them maybe 5 to 7 days before the bill is actually due. It's not passed, but it's not giving you that 20-day grace period that we like for you to have.
Right.
Okay.
And Mac, I also want to know, oh my God. What's the most up-to-date truck you all got in your equipment?
We have a 2013 would be the newest, was when the mayor first got elected. We got 3 dump trucks, front-end loader, a backhoe, and 2 pickup trucks.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Good evening. Your name is Miss Sonia? Sonia. I don't know how long you've been here, but welcome. And hopefully we look forward to the work you'll be doing in getting the water department. I'm pretty sure the mayor's office and trustees can attest that's probably one of their top complaints that they get throughout the year. I had a question regarding the Tribune did a report recently regarding some money that came from FEMA. $30,000 regarding security for our water supply. Can somebody speak to that?
That grant that came through FEMA, myself and Liz have been working on, that security is for our elevated tank, our ground tanks, our pump station, and all that. Once 9/11 hit, the EPA and that started getting strict on all the towns to start securing their water tanks, their elevated tanks, their stations. And what we did was, I think it was 2 years ago, we finally got the ground tanks fenced in, the elevated tank. Now we got this grant for security, so that's going to be cameras pointing at the elevated tank, the 2 ground tanks, and the pump station.
Thank you. My last question was, the last finance committee meeting, they discussed the outstanding balances that are due for water. Is there a plan in place or talks have been began regarding trying to recoup those funds?
So one of the things that I discussed during the meeting last week was we are currently going through, we have a vendor called ProChamps that keeps inventory of the abandoned properties. We are in the process now. We are gathering all of the abandoned properties. It takes time. We have to do a lot of research, go through papers, and attach those delinquent bills with those properties. And we're sending it off now to collections. So we won't actually realize that money, a lot of it, until after people get their income tax checks, and we garnish those checks if they are getting checks. So it's a process. It's tedious because that there may have been many people that lived in that abandoned property prior to it going to ProChamps. So that's why it takes a lot of research. You know, we have to go back and look in the tax rolls and different things to try to make sure that we attach the proper bill to the correct person for that property. But that is one of the things that we're doing currently.
And I want to say that we're making a lot of changes in the water department. Sonia actually was hired to replace my executive assistant. Her background is in human resources, but she's kind of taking the bull by the horns and is really making a positive change in the water department. She works long hours. She comes in on weekends, and we are on track to get that water department on track. So I'm glad to have her in the water department.
And I think that's when I talked to Sonia, that was one of the main reasons I said you need to come to a committee meeting just to talk about the updates she's doing. She's real sharp, and she has a plan to get it together, and it's coming together. So I'm always appreciative of that, because the complaints that we do get is a lot from the water department, but the complaints are coming down with the help of Sonia and Liz at the same time.
Good evening, everyone. I have a question that the last time someone came to read my meter, I was at home, and I have a disability, so it takes me a tad minute to get to the door, and I have a Ring doorbell. And normally it's the gentleman that come, but this time it was a young lady, and she didn't leave a yellow card. She didn't wait. She didn't do anything. And I had everything on my Ring camera. So I had to end up calling and basically told them it wasn't a card, it wasn't anything, and somebody had to come back out there.
So I apologize, she left too fast. If that's the case, you have a disability, it'll take a while to get to the door. Just give us a call, we'll send them back out. I'm not sure when she came. It may be a reread or a sent so I can bill. And a lot of times, if it's close to billing, I won't advise them to leave a yellow card, because if we don't get the read that day, it's late. But I don't know the situation in your case, but a lot of times if I'm trying to get a reread so I can bill and I don't get an answer that day, it's no sense for leaving a yellow card, because it's close to closing or it's time to bill. So
This was in the morning, because I'm retired.
sure. Do you know what day or around what time? Like what day?
Approximately maybe between 10 and let's say 11:30 in the morning.
Yeah. So we, as long as it's before the 15th. So if she came after, okay, so then we'll address that. But a lot of times, but if like they leave too fast, give us a call back. I'll send them back out. Okay.
Like I said, I seen it on my Ring doorbell, and that's how I called back.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And if I could, I would like to speak with that employee. I would like to see that Ring video if I could. Okay? Thank you.
So anything else? Anybody want to get input? Want to give from the mayor, the board?
And just, you want to say something else, Sonia?
We do have a new female meter reader, and I've been getting a lot of seniors or ladies who prefer the female reader to come out. I don't have a problem with that. Just give us a call. We can kind of schedule it around. That's been a big thing, but I think that's a good thing for the water department. So I have some older women that prefer that. Just let me know. We may have to set up an appointment for that, but if you're okay with it, that's fine. Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with it, because he's been there a couple of times, and I seen him walking through the neighborhood.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
And we get some older men that would like the female to come out too, to Read the
Yeah, my next question is, two questions is, the street lights. I live on the block of 146 in Princeton, and that street is really dark. And I've been on the block for 25 years. And I don't know why we can't have street lights. I see Riverdale got lights all over the place. And our block is like we out on the farm somewhere. And with this day and age, I think we need lights.
Okay, I agree with you. I talked to Matt this week. Matter of fact, we've had some incidents over there.
Quite a few.
And we're in the process of cutting 150 trees on the west side over there. We've already started where our last incident was on 148th in Dearborn. But Clark, Dearborn, State, Princeton, Wabash, those trees will be cut. And it's going to take some time. It's going to cost some money. They will be cut from Sibley Boulevard to 146th Street. There's a couple of blocks over there that does not have even a light in the middle of the block.
Exactly.
I just talked to Matt today about what we need to do in order to at least put a light in the middle of the block. Now, if the west side of Dolton is kind of different than the east side of Dolton. Most of those poles on the west side are ComEd lights, wooden poles. On the east side of Dolton, they're metal poles. They've been updated, you know. What's the word I'm trying to say? Yeah, they've been updated in some of the years, you know, going back. And the west side has not had that luxury. Now, you speak of Riverdale. Riverdale, if I'm not mistaken, had got a grant to put those new lights in. Yes. And on some of their blocks, they didn't take up the old lights. They add additional lights. So what we're doing is we are going to go through the process with ComEd of doing the LED lighting in the village. There will be some new light poles that will be put up, but we have to, correct me if I'm wrong, Elizabeth, match that grant. This is $235,000, I think it is, and we're asking the Cook County, Elizabeth's asking Cook County to help us match that grant, and if we're successful, they're going to forgive the money by matching grant. Yeah, it's a pilot program, and we're the first municipality to participate. So we're looking to update the downtown lights, lights in the parking lot, and the lights throughout the village. Now, we are getting a $50,000 gift from Ardar Manufacturing Company to do the lights in our parking lot and to do the lights downtown here. So that's going to be, we'll get that $50,000 gift. I think it's going to be around September 12th. And our conversation with Ardar is that they want to help. They want to help more in the community by assisting with funding on certain items and assisting with different things in the community. So.
All right, that's good news about the lighting and also the trees, because Matt came by my block about 3 years ago, marked the trees, promised me they were going to be torn down, and it never happened. But well, I can understand, you know, if money
don't
issues.
Blame Matt.
No, I'm just saying it's money issue. I can understand that. But I'm just making a joke with me.
Yeah,
Okay, no
yeah.
Okay.
Don't blame Matt, because we had put money in the budget for trees getting cut. And, you know, people say, well, Mayor, you always blame the previous board. But I'm going to tell you, that's exactly what it was. They didn't put any money in the budget for it. But when I came in office 6 years ago, the trees hadn't been trimmed in 10 to 15 years.
Right.
So it's a process. We've trimmed trees as much as we can, the public works as much as we can, but we have limited equipment. Some of these trees are 200 feet tall, and we don't have that type of equipment to bring them down, and it's a safety issue. And I want to warn any residents that use outside tree vendors is to get licensed and bonded vendors. We had a fatality here where a resident used a fly-by-night tree cutting guys, had no permit, weren't licensed, weren't bonded, had a truck that said we cut trees, and one of the guys got, they went up to the tree to cut the logs from the top, and it tumbled down and crushed the guy. And so, from what I understand, they went off in the middle of the night. So, so please, if you do, our local ordinance, and I want to get this changed, our local ordinance says the trees on the parkway are the responsibility of the owner. Now, if we can't do it, we certainly know that you can't do it. I don't know how that ordinance got, survived on the books, but we need to modify that just to correct that. But, we should at least, I would say, put $100,000 a year into tree cutting. Because it's certainly overgrown. Now, another thing is that we don't want to, some of the residents said, well, I don't want that tree anymore, just cut it down. We do not cut down live trees that are not diseased. So, for cosmetic reasons, we don't do that. But if it needs trimming and we can do it, we do it. Some of the trees, if you just take a look, if some of you want to drive down Dearborn, 148th block of Dearborn, and just take a look at what they've done. We've trimmed them up in the past. Those areas where we've had shootings, we go in there, we trim the trees up, and the shootings stop. Because some of these shootings that have been happening is because of the opportunity, the darkness, and where it's located. So hopefully it works for us.
Well, as far as the trees on our block, those trees are so old, the bark is just blocks of bark just falling off the trees.
Yeah.
We had a number of big limbs fall off when the wind blow or when it's a heavy snowstorm. I've had one land about this far away from my car in the driveway.
Right.
I mean, this happens all the time. So those trees are really, really bad.
When I first came into office, the first thing we did were to trim trees because we were paying so much overtime when these trees were blowing and the dead limbs were coming off them. We was paying a lot of overtime to public works, so I had them go out and trim as many trees as they could to cut back on the overtime. Now, depending on what type of tree that you have, Dolton has probably about 10 different species of trees. We have some trees in our town that actually shed bark on an annual basis. So I'm not sure if that's your case.
No idea what
I'm not sure that that's your case, and I wasn't aware of that until we've had our tree people come into town. They've been planting trees, and they've come to have coffee with the mayor and explain different species of trees and why we should have them and things like that. But we do have some trees that shed every year, bark.
All right, I won't take any more of your time, but I have one other question. I'm trying to find out, for the last 2 years, the overgrowth of the property that's next door to mine. It is a forest in that yard and in the back of the alley, and you can't even get back there because I'm like almost at the end of the alley, and that house sits right on the end, so all that overgrowth is back there. That overgrowth is coming on my privacy fence. I went out there and tried to trim some of the stuff
Rather than
down.
you give your address over the air, why don't you see Matt?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, well, one more thing I want to cover, Matt. I wanted, there's two ladies who answered the phone at Public Works. They weren't able to come out today, but could you update the residents of what they do? Do they receive phone?
Is your mic working?
It's on, but it's the camera's picking it up.
Okay.
Could you update the residents on how the process is when somebody calls? Do they call back? Because I've had a lot of complaints of people say, well, I call and I never get a call back or nobody picks up. Could you update the residents on that process?
The two ladies that are in the office, one of them is Angie and the other one is Helen. They couldn't make it tonight. Helen's out sick and Angie was on vacation this week. But when you call into the office, what they do is they'll take your phone call, they'll get the complaint that you have. Then what they do is they go into the computer and they will they'll draw up a work sheet on it. Then they'll distribute it to the two foremans that we have there. Then they'll go out, they'll assess it, see if it's an emergency, how soon we have to get out there. They have been keeping track from May of 17. So anybody that's called there from May of 17 until now, we can pull up and find out what your complaint was when you called, what day it was, what time. They put it all on there. So, and when there are times when those phones do ring off the hook and it's hard for them to keep up with it, they'll put the person on hold, answer the other call, and then sometimes the resident doesn't want to wait, and then they do call back. I've been in there when they've called back residents, and that's basically how they do it. So
I just wanted you to say that because I wanted to really get rid of that myth, or that when people say that's actually true. There's actually a process that's in place to get the phone calls and the complaints responded to in a timely manner. So I just wanted for the residents to hear that and for people to say that.
Right, yeah, and plus they do get an hour lunch. Each of them get an hour lunch, and there's only a half an hour gap where, you know, they're not there, but if myself or John or Mike is in the office, we'll take the calls.
So that's good. I wanted to show the progress of Public Works, that there's actually things being in place to improve the customer service for the residents at Public Works.
Yes.
Mary, you want to say something else?
Well, I was going to say, but
I just have a quick question for the Public Works. It's my understanding.
Could you move the mic?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
After the garbage is picked up, the following day that the street cleaner is supposed to clean the street. I'm from the city. I'm very particular about my street. I love my street right now. I've only been out here a couple of years. I do clean the gutter of that sewer thing. I keep it clean. But for some reason, all the garbage constantly comes down that way. I've called, asked them to come. Sometime they come, sometime they don't. The girls are awesome. They're very nice to me. But they don't come and clean like they used to.
when you say clean, are you talking about the sweeper? Or?
Sweeper,
Okay.
the sweeper, yes. Because I mean, I get out there and literally the sewer thing, whatever you call it, the grill, I literally clean it, cut around it, everything.
Yeah.
But they supposed to come, and everybody's garbage always come there. When it's raining, I make sure everything can go down because I keep it clean. I said, I'm from the city, so.
Okay. I talked to, actually, one of the guys today that actually drives the street sweeper, and we talked about the way that the city does it. And he said years ago it used to be that way out here, where we would identify the days when the sweeper would actually come out. Because now we don't do that, and when the sweeper's out, they're going around 15 cars on the block, and only half the block gets swept. So we're going to have to implement that in doing our sweeper. I'd like to also next year get a second sweeper. And I'm not sure how it was done. Was it odd days, or Matt, are you aware of that, how it was done? Well, at any rate, by next spring, I'd like for us to have something in place to make sure that when the streets are cleaned, the cars are moved, and give like a grace period to get it started. But after that, to get compliance, you're gonna have to issue tickets. You know, so we can try to put something in place like that to make sure that our blocks are cleaned better. Go ahead, Tammy. I mean,
in the
Trustee.
city, they would have, it'd be posted like 3 or 4 days.
Right.
Before, so it's posted on the light post.
Yes, it's
this
2
day-
days.
Right.
It's 2 days, and the third day they sweep.
Right.
Yeah.
They know that the date is gonna sweep. And
Right.
if you did move the vehicle, it was a ticket
Yeah.
issued the same day that the sweeper came out in the city.
Yeah. Now, what the city does is, that day of cleaning, they have a revenue car that goes out and issue tickets for anybody that's parked there, you know, and they sweep. And then you learn your lesson after the first couple of tickets, you know. One of the things that I wanted to mention, you could mention it, Ed, in regards to the carnival.
You can mention it.
Okay. You know, we've had some serious incidents in the last couple of weeks have been rough. But we're going to still continue doing what we're doing to try to move the village forward, to provide entertainment, to provide, and there's a cost to that, and to provide different activities to keep this community solid. But, you know, as in any community, you know, I've been getting a lot of calls, Mayor, what you going to do? What you going to do? It's your fault, da-da-da-da-da. Well, these major cities, they got 13,000 and 25,000 and 30,000 police officers. They have major crimes, and it happens, and those police can't be everywhere. We're doing the best we can with what we have. I've called in everybody but the National Guard to help us here. And we're going to get in front of this. And it's just, it's unfortunate that the media has toned into Dolton about crime, and none of these other communities are immune. And we're going to get in front of this, and we're going to get past this. And everybody needs to be vigilant. And you see something, you say something, and our police are going to respond. And we're going to make this a better community.
All right. Thank you so much.
Oh, the carnival.
Carnival, yeah.
Carnival this week, what is it, Elizabeth? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Tomorrow is going to be from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Yeah, all of them, except Sunday. Now, the carnival is...
Saturday is 12 to 11.
Okay.
Sunday is 12 to 7 p.m. So it's going to be, tomorrow is 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Friday is 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Saturday is 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. And Sunday is 12 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Now, it's starting late because the children are back in school. And if it was earlier during the summer when the kids were out, it would have started earlier. But the kids are back in school now, and we expect to get a commission from the carnival. So, you know, tell the people it's safe to come. And in order to have carnivals like this and activities like this, we have to have participation. So we need to make sure that this carnival is well attended, and so we can continue to bring things like this to the village. And the location is at Melanie Fitness Center, 14900 Greenwood. And then I know this is the Public Works deal, but Ed is doing a great job in bringing Melanie Fitness Center back. So please, you know, residents, if you can, if you will, you know, our pool is going to be back up shortly. Please join, you know, participate in the community, spend your money in the community, and so we make it a better, sustainable community for everybody.
All right. So on that note, I really appreciate my committee meeting turned into a mini board meeting. That's good. That's good. So any more? Nothing else from the trustees?
Just one thing. To piggyback off what everybody said about Sonia, outstanding job. Had a resident, we've been emailing, texting each other back and forth, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And today her issue was resolved. Sonia gave her a call, explained the water bill to her, how she's being billed, how she had estimated bills from 2015. So after the phone call, the customer is very satisfied. I can say so. Kudos to Sonia. Outstanding job she did in handling that situation. Thank you.
And we want to get better at customer service in that water department, because that's been a big issue. Sonia's working on that. And you probably have noticed, if you've been in the water department, some new faces. We're discovering some things that was occurring that shouldn't have occurred. So give us time to try to turn this thing around. And our collections are up with since Sonia's been doing it. I collect, yes.
I would just like to add, I've been in customer service for 36 years, and I experienced the wrath of that customer service over there. So hoping that you will turn that around, because if I come into that office and I have a question, don't ignore me. I come here for a reason, you
Right.
know. So I just, if you can turn that around, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, and that goes for all the employees of the Village of Dolton. If you got a problem with customer service, we want to hear about it, and we're going to deal with it, you know, so.
There's a digital suggestion box too outside the water department in the foyer when you walk in. So you feel free to put your suggestions or in there, and it's digital, and we'll get it. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
And it's not just for the water department, and it could be anonymous. We just want to hear the complaint so we can address it. And it is on the website?
On the website, there's a report of concern tab on the website that you can send your concerns in to the on the website.
Hold on, get the mic.
You said you can go online and pay your bill. Is there a charge for that?
No, there's not.
There's no charge for that, so you can just use your,
You need your account number, and it's vo.org. You'll need your account number and the name that's on the account.
Now, I'm going to say this. There's no charge now, but in the future there will be. There'll be, because, you know, it costs us money to process this, and if you pay online, if you notice that other bills, utilities, other things, there's a convenience fee, they call it, anywhere from $3 to $5, some, you know, is low. So we're looking at every aspect of the water department. We'll look at our credit card processing, what those fees are, to try to reduce our fees and just, you know, give you better service.
Okay, I would like to commend the 2 new mechanics for the new program that's going to help us track the actual money that we're spending on the automobiles, because I know that over the previous years there's been a complaint how much money we're spending, where this money going, so we can track that from now on. And also the 2 receptionists at Public Works, I have to give my hands off to them because I go in there and check on them, and they do a great job. The 2 ladies at Public Works.
Pete Zenos, I put him in charge of our police fleet when I first came into office. When I came into office, we had 3 to 4 motors that were down, locked up, no oil in it. There was nobody checking oil. We haven't lost a motor in 6 years. That's because of regular maintenance. Now we're going to be a little bit more even, a little bit more efficient, a lot more efficient with our fleet management program that you guys will be using, that they have experience in doing. So we want to keep our costs down in maintenance. The maintenance was killing us on these cars. So by an updated fleet and constantly monitoring the maintenance and doing the maintenance on the car, it'll keep everything's in-house now. No, not our oil changes yet. But we're looking at bringing our oil changes in-house, because we've got a third party doing that, which is going to save us a lot of money. And each time these guys do work on our fleet, it's documented, so they'll have a history on that whole fleet in regards to maintenance. Right? Okay. So and they're doing a great job at keeping our fleet up and going. We've got the winter coming right now, and we'll service the trucks, the plows, and get them ready for the winter going forward.
Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
A motion.
Second.
Got the motion to adjourn. We get vote. Aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming out, residents.